On August 24th of this year, a mere 3 days after my birthday, the Biden-Harris administration announced their student debt relief plan. Now, this plan did 3 things. 1, it made a final extension to the student loan repayment pause through the end of this year. 2, it made some much needed changes to the student loan system. And 3, it promised forgiveness of up to $20,000 for low and middle income class families on their federal student loans. Now, if you're someone who's still dealing with federal student loans, that last part was probably the best news that you'd gotten basically since the pandemic started. After all, with inflation the way that it is, the last thing that anyone wants to do is add student loan repayments back into the monthly budget. And while this won't completely eliminate the student loan debt for the vast majority of people, it will be a big help. Families will be able to get out of debt faster due to the lower principal balance, while also making lower monthly payments for that same reason. Well, since the government is expected to release the application forms any day now for this program, I wanted to hop onto the Federal Student Aid website with you and talk through common questions that many of you may have. Hopefully, I can make some of their overly complicated explanations easier to understand so that you can get the debt relief that you need without any drama. Hey dreamers, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Tiana Clewis, an author, speaker, executive pastor, coach, and owner of a multi-million-dollar consulting firm who's made it her mission to help Christian women trapped in the 9-to-5 life overcome the money worries that are stopping them from stepping full-time into their God-given calling. And now that you know who I am, I want to keep this moving, but let me warn you that this video will be a little bit longer than my usual videos because we're walking through a lot of key information on the program that I believe will be beneficial to people based on my experience as a coach. So hang in there with me because I do truly believe it's going to be worth the time. But with that, let's head over to my computer so that we can learn more about the Student Loan Debt Relief Program. All right, so here we are on my computer, and like I said, we're gonna walk through the student loan forgiveness website. So we gotta start out by going to studentaid.gov. And then if you actually click up here, it's going to take you to the thing that talks about the whole announcement that was made. We specifically wanna look at the debt relief, so we're gonna click here instead. So this is the web page that you want to go to that's going to give you all of the information about the student debt relief plan. If you scroll through, there's kind of a lot of stuff here. Well, we're going to hit some of the highlights. All right. Number 1 highlight right here. Let's start here. Okay. If anyone tells you that they are going to charge you to help you get this debt relief, it is a scam, okay? This site says you never have to pay for help with your federal student aid, ever. You don't have to pay for it. If someone tells you that you need to pay them for your student debt relief, this one-time thing, they're lying to you, okay? They're lying to you. So let's make that abundantly clear up front. You do not have to pay for this. You don't have to pay for anyone else to do this. All right, so what do we actually need to be looking at? So first, there's a couple of steps that they line out here, which I appreciate. They made it really simple. 1, you gotta check if you're eligible. 2, you kinda gotta do a little prep work. And then when they make the application available, you have to apply, all right? So let's talk about eligibility. This is really, really simple. If you make less than $125,000 a year as an individual, according to your annual federal income, so basically the income that's used on your taxes. If you make less than $125,000 as an individual or less than $250,000 married, based on the years 2020 or 2021, typically they will use the tax return that you have most recently filed. So if you haven't filed your 2021 taxes yet, you should do that. But based on 2020 or 2021, they'll use this to determine whether or not your income qualifies, all right? So less than $125,000, you will get either up to $20K or up to $10K. If you have federal student loans and you received a Pell Grant at any point in time, you're eligible for $20K. If you did not receive a Pell Grant, you're eligible for $10K. It's that simple, okay? You'll get up to $20,000 if you've received a Pell Grant on your federal student loans, up to $10,000 if you have federal student loans and never received a Pell Grant. That's how simple eligibility is. Not super complicated. In fact, just to pop down, they have this nice little graphic here. Which loans are eligible? undergraduate and graduate direct loans, Parent Plus and Grad Plus loans, consolidated loans, there's a little more detail behind that I'll talk about in a moment, federal family education loans or programs like that held by the ED, Perkins loans held by the ED, even defaulted loans, like you actually haven't been paying it back and you've defaulted on the loan, but it was a Department of Education loan, it still qualifies. So pretty much any type of a federal student loan under the Department of Education qualifies. So under the section that asks, are private loans eligible for debt relief? No. They're not. But here's the thing that kind of highlights what they're saying with the consolidated loans. Consolidated loans are eligible for relief as long as all of the underlying loans that are consolidated are ED held loans and were dispersed on or before June 30th of 2022. So the reason why this is important is because if you have private loans and you have federal loans and you got them consolidated, what happens is that if you consolidated federal loans into a private loan, the consolidated private loan is not eligible for debt relief, which means that if you took a federal loan and consolidated it with a private loan, the federal part of that loan is still eligible. The private part of the loan is not. So if you consolidated your student loans, whether it was all federal or a mix of federal and private, the federal part that was consolidated does qualify. Now, if you only had private loans and you only consolidated private loans, your loans do not qualify because they are private. This only applies to federal student loans, loans held by the Department of Education. So all these different types of loans count. If you consolidate a loan, the federal part of the consolidated loan does qualify, okay? So now that you know that you're eligible, they want you to do a little prep work. You need to log into your studentaid.gov account, make sure your contact info is up to date. They are going to send updates by email and text messages, so you can actually sign up for text alerts. And they say if it's been a while since you logged in and you can't remember if you have an account username, password, then they actually have some tips here to help you access the account. And if you never created your account, then you need to create the account. So you need to have a studentaid.gov account. If you never set it up, or if you can't remember whether or not you have it, now is the time to get the studentaid.gov account set up, or make sure that you have access to get into that thing, because that is going to be valuable. They also say make sure that your loan servicer has your most current contact information so that they can reach you. And if you don't know who your servicer is, you can log into your studentaid.gov account. And then to be notified when the process has officially opened up, sign up for the Department of Education subscription page. So I actually clicked on here earlier. I'll admit I got a little confused. So what I did is I signed up for the new federal student borrower updates and for the top news from the department. I figured that between those two, I should definitely get the information that I need. And all you do is you put in your email address, you check this box that says you consent to their data privacy policy, click next. It's that easy. It was super fast. Sign up for the text notifications, because you need to know, once you have your studentaid.gov account set up, your contact info updated with them, your contact info updated with your loan servicer. Literally, you're just waiting for the application to open. It is supposed to be released any day now, okay? So you're just waiting for the application to open. If you've signed up for the notifications, you'll get text alerts and email alerts. So you definitely want those. That's all the steps, literally. Check that you're eligible, make sure that you have your studentaid.gov account set up, contact info for them is update, contact info with your loan servicer is up to date, and then you're just gonna wait on the application. I've heard some people say that you only have until the end of October. No, you have until the end of next year to apply. So if you can't get all of this stuff done right now, for whatever reason, you're missing some data, some information, it's okay. Don't panic. You have up until the end of next year to apply. So you've got time, all right? I know some people are gonna be wondering like, hey, did I ever receive a Pell Grant? If you received a Pell Grant, you pretty much are gonna know that you received a Pell Grant. All right, but let's say it's been a while and you've forgotten, you actually can go on your studentaid.gov account to see if you received a Pell Grant. So it says most borrowers can log into studentaid.gov to see if they received a Pell Grant. It says when you apply for debt relief, we'll make sure all borrowers who received a Pell Grant receive the full benefit of up to $20,000 in relief if they meet the income requirement. Here's what I recommend doing, of course, is when you go in to see if you've received a Pell Grant, always, 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 just for your own records, just take a screenshot of it. That way, if you've taken a screenshot of your studentaid.gov account and it's showing, here's how much you owe in student loans, and here I actually received a Pell Grant, take a screenshot of that, keep that for your records, so that if there's ever an issue later on down the road, maybe you didn't get the full 20K, well, you can use that screenshot as evidence to show, hey, I qualify for the full 20K, I only got 10K, can we go and fix that? So that is a good idea, just in case the government messes this up, because, you know, the government tries, but they be tripping sometimes. Here's an interesting question. Do I still qualify for the full 20K in debt relief if I received only one Pell Grant? Yes, if you received any Pell Grant. You don't have to have gotten one for every single year. You don't have to have gotten one for every single semester. If you got one Pell Grant, that is enough to qualify you for the 20K. I love that. Here is something that's important though. If you have a Parent Plus loan, because mind you, a Parent Plus loan is actually a loan that a parent took out on behalf of their child so that they can go to college. So if you have a Parent Plus loan and that's what you're trying to get the debt relief on, and your child received a Pell Grant, you're not going to get the 20K, you're only going to get the 10K. I like this. If a parent received a Pell Grant for their own studies, then the parent borrow may be eligible for up to 20K in relief on their loans. Otherwise, the parent borrow may be eligible only for up to 10K in debt relief. Here's what this section is saying in general. If I have a Parent Plus loan that I took out on behalf of my child, and I personally never received a Pell Grant, then I am only going to receive $10,000 in total debt relief. If I have a Parent Plus loan and during my own studies, I did have a Pell Grant, I will get the $20,000 on the combination of my Parent Plus loan and my personal student loans, all right? Because it is a total of up to $20,000 on all student loans. So whether you have a mixture of like undergrad, graduate, and a Parent Plus, like if you had all three of these, it's only going to be a total of $20,000 in total. It's only going to be $10,000 in total. Doesn't matter how many loans you have, right? A parent will only qualify to receive a Pell Grant if they personally received a Pell Grant during their own studies. But if you have a Parent Plus loan and your child received a Pell Grant, then your child is going to get the extra 10K from the Pell Grant on their personal debt relief. Which means that if your student never took out any student loans and the only person who took out student loans was you, the parent, because you've got the Parent Plus loans, then that means that the total debt relief is only going to be 10K. So let's hit some kind of key questions that people are going to have. I like this. How do I know which kind of loans I have? Again, it's going to be on the studentaid.gov website. So go there, go through, look, it'll tell you all the different types of federal student loans that you have. But again, the vast majority of student loans qualify, so it's not really a huge thing to worry about. I love the fact that they included defaulted loans for relief. So if you stopped paying, you're still going to get that relief. And then I like how they say we recommend getting or staying out of default through a fresh start initiative. So even if you've stopped paying, you're still going to get that debt relief, but the fact that you're not paying it is still going to show up on your credit. So if you want to start fixing your credit, you need to start paying your student loans. All right. Here's another section that we want to look at that's going to be important. Some people have federal family education loans and Perkins loans, and it does show that those loans are eligible, but those loans are only eligible if they are held by the Department of Education. So if you have an FFEL program loan or a Perkins loan that isn't held by the Department of Education, you're not going to be able to get the debt relief. So one of the things that's important to note is that if you have the FFEL loan or you have the Perkins loan, you can actually legally consolidate that with the Department of Education under what's called a direct loan. What they're saying in this section though is that if you did that consolidation after September 29th of 2022, it's not going to qualify. It's not going to work. That direct loan is not going to qualify for the one-time debt relief. Now, if you applied for the consolidation prior to September 29th, and maybe it just didn't process until after the date, as long as you applied for that consolidation before September 29th of 2022, then those loans, those FFEL and Perkins loans are now underneath the direct loan program. Those will qualify because you applied prior to September 29th, 2022. So what I'm saying is, don't sit here and take your FFEL loan and your Perkins loans that's not held by the Department of Education and try to consolidate it under a direct loan hoping that you're going to get debt relief. It's not going to work because it's after September 29th of 2022. So save yourself the time and the headache. If anybody tells you to consolidate your FFEL loan and your Perkins loan under a direct loan in order to get the debt relief, because it's moved from not being with the ED to now being with the ED, let them know that is not true. That is a scam. It's not going to qualify because it was applied for after September 29th of 2022. Okay? So once you know that, avoid that potential scam. Hey, since you're still hanging out with me, we're about halfway through. I want to remind you to smash the like button. And if you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel by clicking the big red button below. All right, back to it. So what I want to do is I just want to cover a couple of key pieces of information I think is important to note. One of the things they have here is how can I find out how much debt relief I'll get? It's actually pretty simple. If you have federal student loans and you received a Pell Grant and the balance on your student loans is $20,000 or more, you're going to receive $20,000 in debt relief. If you did not have a Pell Grant and you have a balance of $10,000 or more, you're going to receive at least that $10,000. If your outstanding loan balance is less than the maximum amount of debt relief you're eligible for, you'll receive relief only of your full loan balance. So let's say that you have a loan balance of $9,500 and you qualify for $20,000 in debt relief. You're only going to get the $9,500. Here is an interesting exception though. So there's a section here that says, am I eligible for a refund if I made voluntary payments during the pandemic? This caught my attention. They're actually basing what you qualify for, how much you're going to receive based on your balance on March 13th of 2020. This is going to be a key date. I'm going to use the example they actually have here. So let's say that on March 13th, 2022, you had a balance of $10,500, all right? You qualify for $10,000 on relief, and on March 13th of 2022, you had a balance of $10,500. But you decided to make a payment of $1,000, which is what they're calling a voluntary payment because you had an option on whether or not to pay your federal student loans. You decided, I'm gonna go ahead and make a $1,000 payment on my federal student loans, even though I don't have to right now, i.e. voluntary. So you made that $10,000 payment. So now, as of the time of discharge, your balance is actually $9,500. So on March 13, 2022, your balance was over $10,000, but now your balance is below $10,000. What they're gonna do is they are going to discharge the $9,500 balance, and then they're going to give you a refund for the difference between how much they discharged and what your balance was as of March 13, 2020, up to the max that you qualify for. So let me give you another example. So on March 13, 2020, you had a balance of $9,800 and you made a voluntary payment of $300 so that now you have a balance of the $9,500 at the time of discharge. So in that case, they would discharge your $9,500 balance, and then that $300 difference between the $9,800 and the $9,500 that they discharged, they would give you a refund for that $300 difference. So they would actually pay you, they would give you a refund of $300. So basically, they are willing to give you a refund on voluntary payments that you made during the pandemic up to the total debt relief that you qualify for. So basically what they discharge plus your voluntary payments, what they'll give you back will only go up to the max that you qualify for. Hopefully that makes sense. I'm hoping that I simplified that instead of making it more complicated. Also, but it does say, if you consolidated your loan after March 13, 2020, refunds aren't available for any voluntary payments made prior to the consolidation. I'm not sure why that is, but you know, whatever, that's what they're gonna do. So if you consolidate your loan after March 13, 2020, so let's say that you consolidated your loan 3 months ago, then the voluntary payments that you made between March 13, 2020 and 3 months ago, for whatever reason, don't qualify. Not sure why that is, but it is what it is. Here's one: if I have multiple loans, can I pick which loans get the relief? Which is something that naturally a person would want to do, especially if they have some that have higher interest rates. Well, no, you can't. The government will determine how debt relief gets applied to your loans. So sorry, you can't choose to have them applied to the ones that have the highest interest rate. Will my debt relief be taxed? That's a good question. One-time student loan debt relief will not be subject to federal income taxes. State and local tax implications, however, may vary. Here's the thing. A lot of times when something like this would happen, typically that would be counted as income for you. In this case, when it comes to federal income taxes, the federal government said we are not going to count this forgiveness as income for you. But states and local tax authorities may decide to count it as income for you. So this may actually increase your tax bill a little bit from a state and local level. However, that increase is still not going to be higher than what debt relief you received. So at the end of the day, you still come out net positive. They do have the question where some borrowers are actually going to get debt relief without applying. However, I don't think that is a chance that you should take. Go ahead and apply. Like, even if you think you might qualify, if you think you might be one of those 8 million borrowers that they have income data on, doesn't matter. Go ahead and apply anyway. I'm a dependent student. Do I apply based on my income or my parents' income? This is a good question. If you're enrolled in school as a dependent student for financial aid purposes between July 1st, 2021 and June 30th, 2022, your eligibility is based on your parents' income. So if you were enrolled in school as a dependent between July 1st, 2021 and June 30th, 2022, you would use your parents' income, not your personal income. When will online applications be available? Sometime this month. Any day now. Literally any day now. They said that they're going to have a confirmation page letting you know that your form has been submitted. And here's an interesting one. So there are some people who get public service loan forgiveness. For example, if you are a teacher in a public school district and you've been doing that for 10 years, and you applied for the program and have made your 120 payments under the program, what they're saying is, we'll identify any borrower who submitted both an application for one-time student loan debt relief and the public service loan forgiveness. If you receive one-time student loan debt relief and are then determined to have been eligible for forgiveness under the public service loan forgiveness, they will adjust your loan and apply the public service loan forgiveness discharge. The reason why this is important is because the public service loan forgiveness is more. So, like I mentioned, public service loan forgiveness is a program for people who work in public service in federal, state, tribal, or local government, or for a nonprofit organization. This forgives the remaining balance on your direct loans after you've made 120 qualifying payments while working full-time for a qualifying employer. The reason why it's important to know this is if you apply for the public service loan forgiveness program and then you also apply for the one-time student loan debt forgiveness, they are actually going to give you the more beneficial of which one you qualify for, okay? So if you qualify for both, then they will give you the public service loan forgiveness, which will completely forgive the rest of your federal student loans. Otherwise, they'll just give you the 10K or the 20K according to what you qualify for. Now, this is an odd question, but maybe some people, the way their egos are set up, they're just like, I don't want this, I want to pay it off myself. That's fine, do you, boo. For most borrowers, you'll receive debt relief only if you submit an application. If you're one of the 8 million people who qualify for debt relief without applying, what they said is they are actually going to give you an opportunity to opt out if you want to. Finally, they're going to continue to update this page with more details. After the online form is live, support for the form will be available at this number, so this will be a useful number. But I recommend, honestly, that you actually keep this website, so studentaid.gov, and you see all this extra. Yeah, that's a lot. I literally would just go to the studentaid.gov website and click the link that we clicked on in the beginning. And there you go, a walkthrough of the details surrounding the one-time student loan debt relief plan. Please be sure to visit the website and get signed up for the notification so that you can get your own debt relief as soon as possible when the applications finally do open up. Oh, and since many people are going to be trying to get their applications in ASAP, don't be surprised if the site crashes a couple of times. Too many people trying to do something at one time can certainly cause some bandwidth issues, so I wouldn't be surprised if that pops over in the news sometime in the next few days. But that's all that I have for you today. If you have any other questions or opinions on this debt relief plan, let me know down in the comments. You know me, I love hearing from you. Also, don't forget to let me know that you found this video useful by hitting that thumbs up button and subscribing to my channel by clicking the big red button that's down there. Be sure to hit the bell so that you're notified each week when I drop brand new money tips and biblical strategies designed to help you break through your financial barriers so that you can finally step big, bad, and boldly into your God-given calling like I have. With that, your girl is actually going to get back to these hundreds of emails in my inbox from my 6-week sabbatical, and I look forward to seeing you guys next week. Bye-bye.